Hello and welcome. Within the next couple of minutes, we will present a concept for university online teaching using key principles of gamification. This is Sven speaking. I'm a professor at German Sport University Cologne, heading the Department of Training Pedagogy and Martial Research, whereby the following has been developed in strong collaboration with Mario Staller. Mario is a professor at the University of Applied Sciences for Police and Public Administration, North Rhine-Westphalia. Okay, let's get it on.
The corona pandemic has turned society upside down. This is true for many fields, for economy, and for almost all institutionalized teaching and learning settings, such as schools and universities. And this is especially true for my university, GSU, where the teaching of practice-related stuff, of sports, of movements, of everything that has to do with our body can be seen as one of its core characteristics. And as we have experienced in different fields of society, the corona pandemic has led to a kind of collective helplessness. So after the officially ordered lockdown in March this year, schools, for example, had to quit physical education, and they quit. Literally nothing was going on then. Gyms had to stop training, and they stopped training. There was no training going on anymore. In this situation, and especially for me as the one responsible for GSU's mandatory self-defense course, the question arose, hey, Sven, where do I teach to fight this summer semester? And of course, the same question arose among my students. So where do we learn to fight in the summer? I will now present the conceptual framework for GSU's mandatory self-defense course PE 2.35, which has been conducted by me in the last summer. I will first illustrate the challenges caused by Corona, followed by the idea which led to a conceptual framework containing several elements of game design. And finally, I will tell you how this concept has been applied in practice. Okay. Ready for level 1. The teaching of self-defense is heavily challenged by Corona. Since any form of direct face-to-face teaching of practice-related stuff has been prohibited by my university management, all fighting-related courses could not take place as they used to take place. The only option available has been online training. However, the option to teach practice-related things like self-defense online was accompanied by a couple of challenges. The first challenge to address is the issue of a digital infrastructure. Without a concrete and well-functioning digital infrastructure and according tools, nothing could be done. The second challenge is a bit more tricky. How can something that is associated as interpersonal synergy, as something that depends on the direct interaction of at least two persons involving their bodies, so how can self-defense and fighting be imagined as something that could be taught or learned online? And this relates to a third heavy challenge, which is the question on how teaching self-defense online can meet the demands of the respective curriculum. As you can see below, PE 2.35 states that students should be enabled to understand and practically apply basic principles of self-defense. Finally, and fourth, and due to many conversations among colleagues, it quickly became clear that teaching self-defense online irritates existing beliefs and conceptions on how learning works and how self-defense should be taught. To be honest, at this point, the only thing resolved has been the issue of digital infrastructure. With WebEx training and its video function, a technical tool for online teaching has been available at GSU. Viewed from the perspective of a professional teaching model, it becomes clear that Körner as a contextual factor framing teaching practice requires us to rethink and revise custom beliefs and practical routines. If the only way to teach self-defense is online, what does this mean to the contents to be taught? And how does online teaching impact the learner's expectations and their needs? Is it functional? Do the students acquire the skills they should acquire? Is it motivating? No experiences at all. And more importantly, teaching self-defense has been a challenge to our, and especially to my teaching self. Do we think that it could work? And if yes, how? Or do we assume that it cannot be done? Ready for level 2, the idea. From here, the idea of teaching self-defense online arose. I was simply asking myself, as when, what kind of teacher would you like to be? And what do you think that the students expect you to be as their teacher? Would you rather belong to those who bury their head in the sand in face of the corona crisis? Or would you like to belong to those who take action and who see the crisis as a possibility for improvement and learning? The latter was the case, so the answer was clear. I had to do something, and we did. Due to the fact that teaching self-defense online would be an extraordinary endeavor anyway, we decided to explore the possibilities of gamification, thereby serving the how dimension of a professional teaching model. Taking a mandatory self-defense course and applying elements of game design is gamification by definition, since self-defense is not a game at all, as you probably could imagine. Furthermore, we gamified along with clear pedagogical intentions, which are to engage our students, to motivate their action, to promote learning, and to solve problems. Well, once we got this idea, we can take the next level. So here comes level 3, the concept. Within the idea to gamify P 2.35, we adhere to Shell's renowned tetrad of game design. The tetrad contains elements of story, aesthetics, mechanics, and technology. Story, the first important element, is defined as the narrative structure of a game or gamified context, including plots and characters involved. Aesthetics, second important feature, includes elements perceptible to the human senses, so everything that attracts participants' perception. And aesthetics can also resemble characters and narratives. The third important component is mechanics. Mechanics comprise demanding tasks and missions, as well as a set of rules guiding and affording the learner's task completion. Spending immediate feedback on decisions and actions is also a very important part of mechanics. Finally, technology. As the hardware and infrastructure of the game, technology comprises in a broader sense all technical prerequisites and means that run the gamified context. However, as noticed before, gamification serves to the how dimension of professional teaching and is strongly interconnected with questions of content, prerequisites of the learners, contextual factors like corona, and foremost, the teaching self, the own belief on what can be done in this situation. With this in mind, we can take level 4. GSU's online self-defense course in this summer semester has been conducted according to this conceptual framework. And here is how it has been introduced to the students in the opening class. Welcome. We are trained to fight the virus. Corona is a challenging task for all of us. We are neither virologists nor politicians, but we will fight the pandemic with our strengths and means. Week after week, you will receive challenges that you will work on as a team. Besides teamwork, a strenuous challenge is waiting for each of you. You will have to face a highly skilled end boss who already started his combat training. Your only option is to win this fight. You'd better prepare. The exposure of the story around the fight against the virus marks the beginning of something totally different to a normal self-defense course at GSU. PE 2.35 had just turned into a gamified learning environment in which students became players. And being typical for a gamified context, the story has been condensed in the title, Train to Fight a Virus, and had been visualized in the logo, so addressing the element of aesthetics, reinforcing the story. Title and logo clearly articulated the prospect of an ongoing series of missions the students had to face on a team and on an individual level. Through the announcement of an end boss, whose level of ability has been demonstrated by showing a short training clip, the students' motivation for fighting and learning had been awakened at an early stage. For the team challenge, the mechanic comprised weekly challenges within the areas of fitness, growth, fight, solidarity, and knowledge, which had to be mastered on a team level. Each team consisted of 4 randomly assigned students. The selection of areas and contents was guided by GSU's curriculum, e.g. containing self-defense skills and related knowledge, addressing the fight and knowledge challenge, or generally meaningful areas of learning for sports students, addressed in the growth, knowledge, and fitness challenges, as well as context-related aspects to the corona pandemic, feeding the cluster of solidarity. For instance, here you can see the challenge sheet of week 3. The teams and always each of its members had to do tabatas to fight against invisible opponents, to brush their teeth with the non-dominant hand, to contact elder people without meeting them physically, and to carefully listen to a media interview where I have been explaining Batman's contemporary fighting style. To allow for students' autonomy in decision making and with regards to weekly task accomplishment, teams could choose either to be virus fighter, virus hero, or virus dominator, which each level differing in effort, difficulty, and expected reward. For example, to be a virus fighter, you have to do the tabatas on 2 days a week. For a hero, you have to do them on 4 days. And to dominate the virus, you have to do it on 6 days. And sometimes the difficulty increases. For example, to be a virus dominator, in this week, the teams had to produce a bad cast on Batman's fighting style. Here are the teams. And as you can see, they choose either fighting or corona related names and logos, for which creation they earned another 25 points. From a pedagogical perspective, it is more than an intended side effect that students not only had to complete their challenges, but also took the responsibility for the creation of demanding and motivating tasks and feedback themselves. From week 5 onwards, each team was asked to develop a 1-week challenge for the other teams. By doing so, the students switched their role within the game and turned into learning designers. Short note here, importantly, the team Shadow Warriors won the team challenge. The narrative and video snippet of a highly skilled fighter and already preparing end boss has been the story within Train to Fight the Virus, addressing the individual student and his or her individual learning. Through WebEx video function, online training took place on a weekly basis. Within this training, I taught important self-defense principles and techniques to the students, which were good to have when meeting the end boss. Besides the normal training, special scenarios have been created and conducted. For example, a zombie scenario designed according to narratives, characters, and aesthetics of the Walking Dead series. Students had to prevail against different opponents, such as zombies or other characters like Negan or Alpha. All of them, of course, played by me with respective mask and equipment. The training served as students' preparation for their fight against the end boss, whose fighting video has been sent to them in the 9th week of the semester. The video depicts Batman fighting against an opponent from its ego perspective, so that should be the student's perspective. Noteworthy, Batman-related hints showed up several times during the semester, for example, within the design of keynote slides showing the Batcave and other things. Here's a snippet of the video.
Du bist ganz schön zäh.
Yeah, so you can see the whole video if you click on the link below. Each student was challenged to identify fitting actions and reactions according to the actions and reactions showed by Batman. And of course, finally, they should win the fight. Students' reply videos had to be recorded and sent to me. As you can see by examples, some students picked up the Batman character and appeared, for instance, as the Joker. Particularly striking for me was that many of the videos displayed a high correspondence of perception and action. For example, a kick launched by Batman, as you can see here on the photo, was defended by a flinch response on the picture right on top, just in time and just in the right distance. Or the necessary mindset was displayed as it was time to fight Batman on the ground, as you can see on the other picture. All of this indicating a detailed examination of fighting mechanics, issues of balance, distance, dynamics, and others. And this would have been the very important information in a presence course in self-defense as well, to learn to couple perception and action. At the end, Krav Maga-based self-defense course PE 2.35 has been successfully accomplished. Importantly, we have only presented the concept here. A systematic analysis of the student's perspective is pending and about to be done in the next couple of weeks. Nevertheless, subjective impressions, along with the fact that students had nominated the course for GSU's Teaching Award, which actually had been received some weeks ago, indicate the potential of gamification in the area of online-based practical teaching. Many thanks.